Welcome back to the Halifax Real Estate Podcast. I am your host, Jason Paul, licensed realtor, team lead at the Infinity Real Estate Group at eXp Realty in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I'm here to help you gain a better understanding of real estate in Halifax. Hit that subscribe button, and the Halifax Real Estate Podcast is now on Discord, where I break down our upcoming guests, topics, and hopefully create a little more engagement with you guys so you can have your questions answered as well. Now back to the show. Hey everyone, Happy New Year to you all and all the best for 2024, and welcome back to the Halifax Real Estate Podcast. Richard Payne with Halifax Homes and Lifestyles at eXp Realty is back today for our annual review of Halifax's real estate market for 2023. We're breaking down our experiences and insights working with our clients throughout the year, and we even try our hand at guessing what might happen in Halifax's real estate market in 2024. Enjoy! Hey Richard, how are you?
Not bad, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome back.
Yeah, I know. It's been a while.
Our annual podcast.
I know. It's almost like we should wear Christmas sweaters or something like that for this.
Next year.
Okay. Deal.
Ugly Christmas sweaters.
Ugly Christmas sweaters next year. We'll have to do a video then.
We have our annual episode, Market 2023 Review. So how was 2023 for you?
Yo-yo.
Yo-yo.
Up and down like a yo-yo. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those situations that everybody was having that post 2020, 2021, 2022 hangover from like, okay, this was fast and furious and nuts.
I hate those markets.
Yeah. Well, it's like everything. It was just hard and long, like long hours. Like you were working pretty much 10-hour days, 6 days a week.
It was long, but the problem with that market back then was like, I just found it that you could do all this work and you just weren't never sure if you were guaranteed an outcome.
Yeah.
Because you just weren't like if you were selling.
Yeah.
You were guaranteed.
Oh, absolutely. Selling was a guaranteed it was going to happen.
All you had to do was but you knew in 6 days you were guaranteed a sale.
Yeah.
When you had buyers, which everyone had buyers. Everyone was loaded with buyers. It was like, how long is it going to take me to convert this and what that market was. Yeah. Thank God for interest rates.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so the first half, like for me, was pretty decent. And it's really been the second half that you're like, okay, it's really slowed down. A lot of buyers have just sat on the fence and said, I'm just going to ride out what's happening here with interest rates, and I'm just going to sit and watch and watch and watch and watch and watch.
Yeah, so how we're gonna do this by by quarter.
Okay.
Q1, 2, 3, 4, because the market's changed a lot from what I experienced from Q1 to Q4.
Yeah.
So how was Q1? January, February, March of 2023 for you?
Q1 was pretty good. Like, we definitely had some good sales that weren't, I mean, no real sale is straightforward, but like fairly, in the world of real estate, fairly straightforward. You're not sitting there for 90 days on the market. Like, they were selling in 10 to 20 days, something like that. Couple of multiple offers, but not really that much. Buyers in particular, they were the ones that were like, okay, yeah, we did most of our production, shall we say, in quarter one was probably more buyers than sellers for definite.
100%.
Yeah.
I found Q1, it started off with a bang. It was almost like multiples were coming back. Yeah. And it was weird to see multiples coming back. Yeah. And it was weird to see,
especially as we were talking like at the end of 22 going, oh yeah, multiple offers like that day's gone. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like it's still carrying on into the first part of quarter 2023.
And that's what I was worried about. Like I was like, interest rates were up again, right? Yeah. They were on the rise and it was going to Q1. So like February, March, when the spring market was starting to ramp up, starting to get into bidding wars, but like nothing like it was, but it was like 2, 3, 4, 5 offers.
Yeah, not like 10, 12, 14.
It wasn't the horribleness of 20, 25, 30 like it was in 2022. Yeah. But I still remember being like, man, rates are up.
Yeah, why are we doing multiple offers when we're on ish 5 to 6% interest rates?
Right, and exactly, and not even with interest rates, also the stress test. Like if you're getting a 5% mortgage rate for a buyer,
you're stressing on 8 or 9,
7. If they had 2%, so your stress test is on 7.
Yeah, so
like they're being qualified for $600,000 purchase at 7% interest rate. Yeah, which is. It's a lot. That's a large mortgage payment.
Well, it depends on the down payment, but
like, depends where they're from.
Exactly. Yeah, it depends how much money you turned up with on the day. But yeah, you look at the kind of stress test on that, and you're like, yeah, that should have slowed things down, but not really in the first quarter.
No, I was worried. I was worried Q1 was like preemptively going back to what it was, and I remember being like, This can't sustain. Okay, for everyone home, I actually did prep today. I looked back at all the market stats for 2023. I had them here in front of me. Richard brought his stats.
I know we both got our laptops in front of us looking at numbers for the first time.
We've never done this before. But I know something really interesting about Q1 in 2023. The highest sale price, average house in HRM, was February 2022. And it was $607,000 per house.
Yeah.
March 2023, 600.
Yeah.
We shot right back up to like that peak number when we all thought market's coming down.
Well, especially when you looked at Q4 of 22, you were like, "Oh, it's tailing down.
It's tailing down."
And then, you were right. The first quarter, you were like, "Whoa! Like, hang on a minute. How did this happen?"
Yeah, because I got them in front of me. October 2022, 504. November 2022, 482. December 2022, 547. January 2023, 541. February 2023, 556. March 2023, 600. And that's when we were starting to see those multiples come back and starting to see the inventory. And it was weird because usually when prices go up, inventory goes down. Right? So inventory being the number of homes for sale.
Yeah.
The stat that I found really interesting is when I was looking at the new listings and the inventory. So if you go to inventory for those months, October 2022, 764. November 2022, 695. December 2022, 551. Total active listings, condos and single family homes on the market.
Yep.
January 2023, 529. February 2023, 562. March 2023, 678.
Yes,
the inventory
it started peaking. Then
it started going back up, and it's actually been going up this entire year.
Yeah,
we're now at November 20. The November stats came out. In November 2023, we're at 946 listings for sale on all of HRM, which is 2.5 months of inventory. We haven't had 2.5 months of inventory in HRM since May 2020.
Sounds about right. Yeah. So because we've been like one.
No. For most of 2021, 2022, we were like 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. I think the worst of it for that peak market, February 2022, we were at. Oh, I have it. We were at February 2022 was 0.3.
Yeah.
That if you don't understand how this math works, pick a month and 0.3 of a month. So you got 3 days. 0.3 is 3. You know what I mean?
10 days.
10 days. Yeah. That was how much.
If we put no new houses up for sale and keep selling, in 10 days we've sold everything.
All the houses are gone.
Now we know that never happens.
No, because you always get new listings. Yeah. But like that's the math we use, and to see that go from 0.3, but 0.3 equaled 607,000. If you fast forward, and this is what I found really interesting, March 2023. 1.7 months of inventory at 600,000.
Yeah.
And that was where I was watching it, the stats being like, this shouldn't work like this. Interest rates are supposed to drag houses down because mortgages are higher.
Yeah.
We're crawling back inventory. Usually it's you lose inventory, house prices go up. You gain inventory, house prices come down because buyers have more to pick from.
Exactly.
So that was really interesting about Q1. How'd you find Q2?
Q2 for me, so for Q2, it usually works off how much work and effort and people you're talking to in Q1.
90 days.
90 days, roughly.
Yeah.
The real estate cycle. So for me, it was like, May, June are usually pretty busy months for me.
Yep.
Yeah. Average. Like not terribly busy. Still got quite a few deals under contract and all that kind of stuff that were actually closing in May and June.
Yeah.
But it was definitely one of those times that you kind of go, okay, I can't really work out where prices are going, because we were all expecting like flat line.
Yeah.
And then you kind of go, okay, we peaked obviously in kind of ish March. And then you're like, okay. And then April, May, June, it started coming down a little bit in terms of price.
It did. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, are we like going down and down and down and down, or are we just kind of going down, up, and just like bobbling around whatever a sensible number kind of is?
Well, that was the hardest thing about coming the Q2 into Q3 was we were trying to get a handle on pricing, which has always been a big problem with this market because you don't know where you land. Because if you're pricing a house to sell it, you go by comparables, right?
Absolutely.
Most recent sold.
Yeah.
If you're trying to sell a house in Q2, which is April, May, June.
Yeah.
You're pulling costs from January, February, March,
Yeah.
but prices are down from January, February, March.
Yeah.
So you're using your comparable, you're coming out at a higher price than you should be at because the market's coming down, but we don't have evidence of market coming down yet.
Yeah.
So I found a lot of people got caught April, May, June,
like
and
hanging on to a price that they're not going to sell at.
No, because they have comparables from 2, 3, 4 months ago when the
Yeah.
market was still relatively hot.
Yeah.
And that's what I found really caught me was, oh, this is going to sit. Oh, let's just observe what they're doing. Let's see if they're going to do a price adjustment.
Yeah.
How many price adjustments?
Yeah.
And that's when I started to see and notice things for $1 million. Anything above 700K, you just felt the gears just stop.
Yeah. All of a sudden, everybody was like, okay, anything from 4 to 6,
Fine.
ton of competition, lots of people wanting it.
Yeah.
As soon as you get over like 650 to 7 and above, you're like, okay, this is going to take a while.
Yeah.
Because you're looking for the 1 or 2 buyers that are out there that are still going, no, I've got like in fairly deep pockets because I've got a good down payment, basically.
Yeah.
Because it's never about what's the actual mortgage I need to get. It's what's the monthly mortgage payment. Well, you can make that go down by having a bigger down payment.
Yeah.
So if you're walking into a $750,000 property and you've got $500,000 in down payment,
Easy.
it's a fairly small mortgage number.
You're looking at around 14, 15, 1600.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the grand scheme of things, you're like, that's a fairly manageable number that I can pay out every month. But for everybody else, they're all like, oh no, I need that mortgage payment to be like $2,000 max. Now back that into my monthly income.
Yeah.
And that determines how much money I can actually get a mortgage, because I'm at most people are somewhere between a 5 and 20% down payment.
At most people, yep.
Yeah.
And we had rate hikes going on in Q2. We had more rate hikes. I think we had 2.25 increases.
Yeah.
Just to help.
I think we've had 6 this year. Nothing recently.
Nothing recently.
Last quarter, nothing. But it kind of was all front end of the year loaded.
I
Almost.
thought it was more Q2, Q3 because inflation kicked up. And that was what they had to do, right? Because inflation kicked up when they said, okay, here's 0.25 increase. Oh, here's another 0.2. It was like the market was ready to sleep, and the Bank of Canada just said, I'm just going to kick you unconscious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the problem is that you look at the Bank of Canada, and they've only really got one lever they can pull.
It's not really. It's one lever.
Yeah, and you're waiting for history.
Yeah.
So you're looking back 30 days going, oh, what happened 30 days ago? Oh, okay, let's put up interest rates.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, but it's too late to affect everything from today forwards because you're looking at history.
Yeah.
Same thing when you're pricing houses. We're trying to figure out what's the number that's going to get this house sold. And we're looking at history.
But history is misleading because it's changed so much from
so
what
quickly.
Because remember, like I always use this whenever I was talking to a client the other day about interest rates, and he decided to do seller financing to offer the buyer because his place isn't moving.
Okay.
He's in a really rural part of the province, so his mind is I owe like 60, 70K. So if someone can bring me a 100K down payment, which is 30%, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I'll give them seller financing at 2%. And he's talking to me, he goes, when's the last time you saw 2% ever given to a buyer? I go, well, actually, 18 months ago. He goes, what? I go, yeah. When I bought my house 2 months ago, and I've said this before on the podcast, I got 1.15.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Like that's
called free money.
It's called free money. And that's the biggest change in our market has been rates. And everyone's waiting for the impact of rates.
Yeah.
When you're looking at comparables, it's almost taking into consideration what the rate was at the time of that sale. Because you're like, oh, well, this thing sold at 800K. Well, the rate when they bought it was 2%. Well, 2% $800,000 purchase with a even 10% down payment, 80K, you're going to be looking at like a 25, 28, $3,000, $3,200 monthly mortgage payment versus $800,000 today. Today, I believe rates are. We both work with Andrew Hutchins of Hutchins Mortgages. Shout out.
Yeah.
He gives us a weekly rate email that
Yes.
tells us the rates of variable and fixed.
Yeah.
And last I checked was last week. I didn't check this week. It's Thursday, so I won't see it till tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll get it.
And last I saw was a 6.3 for variable and like a 5.75 for a fix, somewhere in there.
Yeah. And
So-
we're expecting like bond rates will come down, so we know the 5-year fixed rate's
It's
going
gonna
to
drop.
down
There's
a
been-
little bit more. Again.
There's been word all week about bonds coming down,
Yeah.
and bonds are tied directly to the fixed.
Exactly.
So the fix should come down pretty soon.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you look at those two rates, 6.3 variable, 5.75
Yeah.
fixed,
Yeah.
you have to add 2% for the stress test, which means a buyer today
Still a lot.
is being qualified for variable at a 8.3,
Ouch.
and you're being qualified at a 7.75 for a fixed. That
is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
However you slice it.
However you try, no matter how big your down payment is, if you're buying a $100,000 house and you have $400,000 down payment at a 8.3 stress,
You better have some good income.
you know what? Like it's and that's what's ultimately brought us down. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
so Q2 weird.
Yeah.
A funny thing enough, I think it was like 75 or 80% of my business in Q2 for this year.
Right.
I think I did most of my bulk of the work in spring market.
Yeah.
April, May for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And then we just, trickled along with sales throughout the year to keep my life afloat.
Yeah.
But that was Q2 for me, was weird, busy because you had a lot of inventory come.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had stats because I have them this time. In March and April of 2023, you had 678 new listings in March and 741 listings in April and 780 listings in I'm going to reword that. And I got that really wrong. In May 2023, we had 744 new listings. In June 2023, we had 672. So we had a lot of inventory come back.
Yeah. Which was arguably, you'd look at that and go, okay, was that like the delayed spring market? Because Halifax has always had a spring bump and the fall bump.
Yes.
In terms of new listings coming on the market. Whereas when you looked at quarter one, it's like, not really a spring bump. It kind of delayed a little bit.
It did.
More into quarter two for new listings coming on.
You're right, because new listings for Q1, January 2023, 306 new listings. February 2023, 367 new listings.
Yeah.
And then March 2023 was 384 listings. And then April was 395. But then May was 744.
Yeah.
And it makes you think,
it was a huge listing month.
Because we talked about this in 2022 and 2021, where we had so many people that thought about selling their house, but they were scared because they had nowhere to go.
Right.
And you wonder, was that...
Oh, that was probably the delayed effect of people going, days on market are around longer.
Yeah.
I'm seeing more houses that I could potentially go and buy today.
Yeah.
Instead of a year ago, people were like, I don't see any house I want to buy.
Or I can finally get into an apartment.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
The
we can go renting.
empty
or,
nesters,
yeah.
downsizers were finally saying, I can finally see some inventory. I can downsize to a condo, because there was a lot of new condo construction that was started this year.
Coming on stream and actually being
Right.
occupiable.
There was new construction finally coming back to market because we hadn't seen that for a bit.
Yeah.
There was options coming that maybe allowed some people to say, I can finally sell this house because my kids have moved out.
Yes.
And they were delayed because the market was so insane from 2022 and 2021.
Yeah. Exactly.
That was Q2. How'd you find Q3, which is July, August, September?
Yeah. That was, for me, that was my better months.
Okay. You did the majority of your business.
Yeah, I would say like a third of all my business was just in those 3 months.
Okay.
So like Q1 was decent. Q2 was a little bit low. Q3 was kind of like better.
You hit it.
Yeah.
Which in if you're talking in sales, which we are in sales,
Yeah.
real estate cycle is 90 days. So every day you work, which is lead generation, talking to buyers and sellers and getting clients, you get paid in 90 days.
Exactly.
So Richard worked hard in Q1.
Yeah, basically. Q1 and Q2, he worked harder because he's like, hang on a minute. The results are coming in Q3 and a little bit of Q4.
Yeah.
So that's for me where we really started to ramp up, and a lot of buyers were kind of going, okay, like number one, interest rates are not changing.
That was the thing I think a lot of people realized. They're not coming back down. This is the market.
Yeah.
And they were still going up because remember we had 6 this year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm quoting you on that because I actually don't know that number.
Yeah.
But if you had 6 rate hikes to a buyer who's sitting on the sidelines waiting for something to change, it's just
all of a sudden like it's not changing.
It's not changing.
So
I have to get back
in
in.
the game. And that was, I think as well, there was a lot of messages from all of the people in real estate, mortgages as well as realtors, that was like, this is not going to change.
Yeah.
So you need to just understand and change your expectations and adapt to the current situation you're in. And if you need a house, you need a house.
It's funny because I actually found the adjustment more on the seller side than the buyers in Q3.
Right.
Because I found Q3 is when you really saw the pain of like houses sitting at price points that were realistic a year and a half, 2 years ago, that were not even getting viewings.
Yeah.
Right?
So luckily for me, the sellers we had were like 550, 500 and 400.
Great prices.
In areas like Lower Sackville, Eastern Passage, which are solid zero amounts of inventory, and that they're going to sell pretty quickly. They're going to sell for real close at asking price or slightly over. Like, the days of getting 120% sale to list price, those aren't there. Like,
unless you list 200K Halifax Peninsula, then you will.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In which case, like, bring on the bidding wars.
Yeah. In which case, you're going to get 6 because you're going to get 8. You're going to get 80 offers because you put this thing at a steal.
Yeah.
But
I think that's the other thing we've seen throughout the whole of this year is sale to list price has more or less been like 99 to 101%. Like, it's not varied much in terms of the numbers of what we're seeing.
For all of 2023, it was at 100, and it varied by 2% up and down. Up and down,
depending on the month.
So it was no like, oh, we listed at 5, we got 6.
Yeah,
it
was
was
like last year where it was 108, 110, 112%, on average across the whole of HRM.
For the peak of the market, February 2022, 122%.
Yeah.
So if you were selling for 100K, you got it 122.
That's not in 2023 at all.
No, not been nowhere near.
So what that tells you is, yes, the realtors who are listing houses have obviously got a damn sight more accurate.
Yes.
But also the buyers have become a lot more educated, and we're not getting the multiple offers. So the expectation now, I think certainly for the whole of 23 has been like, no, if you list at $499 and $499 in Lower Sackville for the condition of the house seems sensible, you're probably going to get something like $495, maybe $505, something like that, maybe even $490.
Yeah.
But you're also not going to sit on the market for too long.
As long as you're sensible.
Good area.
Right? And the other thing is you have to, I thought Q3 for me was slow because it's summer. Summer's always dead.
Yeah.
I don't find summer's busy unless you really do well in lead gen.
Yeah.
Of course, 90 days, April, May, June, then you have a busy summer.
Yeah.
So I didn't do that. I renovated a kitchen. I had things going on.
About changing that for 2024.
Yeah, I know.
So we do that.
So my summer was slow, but I also found that, like, realistically speaking, in the summer, that's when I saw buyers get realistic in a sense of like, I have to get in if I want to get in. I'm going to put up with the price.
Yeah.
But I also saw sellers get realistic of like, oh, I can't charge and list at these prices that I would have gotten because the game's changed, right? And that's what I saw. I saw like a realization in Q3 of like, oh, now we're starting to really come to grips with what the market is and what it should be now thanks to rates.
Yeah.
I didn't find it wasn't crazy anymore. I didn't find I got into many multiples. I got into one that I told you about in the summer for a $1 million home in South End, which of course I lost because it's $1 million in South End and someone had to pay $200K over asking in this fucking market.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But outside of that, I didn't really find multiples. The thing I found though in Q3, if you listed anything under 4,
right,
expect multiples. Doesn't matter the condition or shape. If you got something under 4, you're still going to get buyers because that market, that price point was...
Well, that's first-time home buyers as well.
And they couldn't get in the market in the last 3 years.
They've been sitting on the sidelines for 2 years going, wait, what? How much? No, I can't do that. So they've had no choice.
Exactly.
But to sit and just wait and watch and kind of soak up the interest rates and go, okay, each time the rate goes up, my budget goes down.
Yeah.
So, 400,000 and under, you're like, oh, okay, expect a crazy amount of activity.
By crazy, 5, 6, 7, 8 offers.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing like 10, 20, 30, 40 like it was. But I found the 400s still getting a lot of activity. 4 to 5, good, but slower. 5 to 6, good, slow. I found 6 and up to be like struggle because I had a listing go in late Q3, I had a listing go live above 7, and crickets.
Yeah.
Good listing too, like brand new build, like 15 years old, good location.
Yeah.
I thought I priced it well, but hey, what do I know?
Well, that's the problem with a lot of the pricing is we do all our analysis and go, okay, here's where we think. Then it's like, but we better react within the first 10 days.
That's exactly what we did. Because nowadays, when you're pricing today, I find you're going by comps, of course, but the comps are misleadingly higher.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always, okay, cool. Here's the analysis based on the comparables, but we're going by, I call it 14-day cycles.
Yeah.
So we're going to watch this thing like a hawk for 2 weeks, and we're going to go by these metrics. If we get a lot of viewings, but no offers, we're adjusting price.
Yeah.
If we get no viewings,
and therefore no offers,
we're adjusting price. and
Yeah.
then if I adjust price and I get viewings and no offers, I'm adjusting price.
Yeah, it's still the same result.
It's still the same result. You have to adjust until you get an offer, because once you get an offer, the market doesn't lie. That's one thing I've learned this year. A buyer will pay what the market deems it's worth.
Yeah.
The idea,
fair market value.
The idea that, and this is where Nova Scotians I find we have been hanging on, is the idea of, oh, well, we can get a seller from Ontario. I'm sorry, we're gonna get a buyer from Ontario. We're gonna get a buyer from BC.
All the sellers are hanging on because they've heard the headlines for the last 2 years. Oh my God, BC and Alberta and Ontario are all moving here with, selling their $2 million 1,600 square foot house.
Yep. That they bought in 2000
they bought for 200,000 or whatever it may be, and they're like, yeah, they can buy this outright for cash.
Oh,
it's like, yeah, not in 2023.
No, and I find the sellers now are asking me, are you marketing to these places?
Right.
And I go, do you want to see the social media paid advertising?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to see the targeted Facebook ads? Do you want to see the targeted Instagram ads? Do you want to see the targeted Spotify ads?
Yeah.
Because, hey, it's there, but the problem is, and this isn't a problem, I actually think it's a good thing, buyers are more educated.
Yes.
And they're also very wary of interest rates now that they've become real. Because 2 years ago, if you're talking about my generation, I'm 31. I'll be 32 in March. And I hadn't really dealt with a recession.
Yeah.
Right? Because the last one was 2009.
Yeah.
Right? I was 17 in high school.
Yeah.
So, it didn't really, my parents didn't lose their jobs. I didn't really notice it. I was watching the World Cup.
Yeah.
2010. And then 2010 to 2022, we had a really good run of growth.
Yes.
Right? So we didn't really, my generation really didn't deal with inflation and a recession and interest rates on a type of extreme level until now, which is now we're starting to really see it, and now we're starting to really understand the implications of what we're involved with. But back then, if you're talking about 2020, 2021, 2022, these people buying these houses, the idea of a recession and inflation, these things coming,
so far removed.
and if you heard anyone talking about it, they just sounded crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they were looking at everything else going, how is this possible?
Right. And they were looking at everything being like, well, this house, back in the 1980s in Cole Harbor you could buy this for $60K. And you're like, well, now we're in 2022 and they're selling at $400K. Yeah. What do you, it's even, and you could and we could rationalize the prices back in 2021, 2022 because of the inventory.
Yes.
That was our biggest rationale was there are no houses anywhere.
Yeah.
As long as we have no houses anywhere, these prices will remain unless something categorically changes. Interest rates changed.
Yeah.
And that's how I found the Q3 being was you really were like, oh, rates are here. But we went from dead summer. I was dead. You were busy.
Yeah.
And then we rolled into the fall market. And I remember telling my clients, don't worry. Fall market, second big bump of the year. We're going to get inventory because I was buyer heavy.
Yeah.
And I had 2 listings. And I've been working on getting a few ready for market. So I'm getting the 2 that were coming to market. We're coming to market mid-September. Okay. So I was like, okay, I'm lined up perfectly for fall market. I'm going to get these gone. Done. Fuck me. Fall market did not come.
No, it didn't. No. I've got one now, and it's kind of the same situation where it's been on the market. So listed the house. Day 1, we get the full price offer. But sale of buyer's property.
Oh, I got a story for you. Good going with yours.
We're like, okay, talk to me about sale of buyer's property. Talk to me about where it is. Talk to me about the price. I want to see like what it looks like inside. Luckily, they'd already started that process.
Good for them.
So like it wasn't like, oh yeah, we're going to sell our house and put it on the market in 10 days.
Yeah.
They were like, no, in 3 days it'll be ready. So I'm like, great. Tell me about the location. Tell me about the price. Let me have a look at some photographs so I can advise my clients what we think of the buyers of this house being the sellers of that house. It went okay for them.
Good.
However, the buyers of this house who had the house to sell, I was like, that's fairly high price, but I know the agent. She's got a history.
Were they in HRM?
In HRM.
Okay, so you're familiar with them. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, but the agent's a good agent. She knows how to get these kind of prices sold. So advice to the clients is, I think we're going to be okay. There's no guarantee here, but sale of buyer's property, day one offer, full asking price, you're going to be okay. Let's take it.
You can also keep it on the market, right?
Well, because it's sale of buyer's property, it still shows as active, so we're still getting viewings.
Yeah, like you're not isolating yourself from the market.
No, exactly. So we still had viewings and everything else. But what was happening on the sale of the property from the buyers that they had to sell, crickets. They had like 3 viewings in 5 days.
Yeah, if you can, what was the price point? What was the area?
So it was over 900K.
Okay.
And it was up at Tantallon. So
Tantallon's hard
Westwood.
for that. Yeah. Westwood's typically really bumping, but just 900K is a hard price point to get.
Well, that's what we were kind of, and it seemed when we dove into it a little bit, it was basically they were trying to almost do like a house swap.
Yeah.
They just wanted to be in the area where we were and not where they currently were because of the husband's job.
Okay.
So we're like, okay, we're going to be okay. So then, of course, we keep going, and they asked for an extension on sale of buyer's property. We were still getting viewings, so we were not like super worried. But then it comes like close and a bit cheeky of the buyers, really, because they were like, this is a 4-year-old house, so pretty new.
Yep.
My clients had looked after it really well, but they wanted the HVAC system cleaning.
Okay.
So filters and all this kind of stuff.
$400
Yeah, $400. And also the garage remote door opener that was hanging from the ceiling with the brackets. It needed the brackets tightening up so that when you opened it, you could see the motor wobbling.
Okay.
So I'm like, great. I'm not being rude.
These aren't deal breakers.
They're not deal breakers, but it's like, okay. But equally, like, have you got your house sold yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a lot of asks from them. So I'm like, fine. Even if these guys don't buy it, we're probably going to have to do these things anyway. So we're going to do them. So we get that done and we get the garage remote door thing sorted. It's like $700 total. And then they ask for the extension. So we're like, okay, we'll give you the extension. And then like 2 days before it's meant to be up, they just go, yeah, we're pulling it because we've had 0 showings on our house in the last month. We've done a price drop twice and it just is not happening.
Oh.
So then we're pushing ourselves into like...
When did you list?
We listed in beginning of September.
Okay, so it's the start of the fall market.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we get to October, and of course they pull their SLBP and walk away from the deal completely.
Yeah.
Now we're sitting here with like viewings that had happened but not resulted in anything.
Yeah.
One of the buyers said, okay, like it's between you and one other one, but because you're sale of buyer's property, we're going to offer on the other house anyway.
You lost the deal because of that clause.
So we lost the deal because of that clause.
Okay.
So then what happens, of course, is we're now chasing the full market.
Yeah.
So we're doing price drops, and we're getting like stupid offers coming in.
And it's not even that you're chasing the farm market. It's the farm market didn't come.
Right. And the number of buyers at this price, because we're over 900K. Okay. So the number of buyers in this price point is
minimal.
Is low.
You've
anyway.
Got whatever viewing you get, you might get at most 10, at worst 2, and you have to capture them.
Exactly. Yeah. So basically, because of the sale of buyer's property, and obviously them not selling it, and of course I tracked that property. It still hasn't sold.
Of course.
I think they took it off the market last week as well.
Okay.
So I'm like, great. They've just shelved the whole plan.
Or they've said no one buys anything in December. We'll come back in the spring.
In January, February. We'll realist then. So now we're faced with we're doing like price drops to try and get some activity on the thing. It's now vacant as well.
Oh no.
So we've got that to overcome, which from anybody who's a buyer, if they see a vacant house, they're like, ooh.
I can lowball.
Yeah. Like, how many mortgages are these people paying? Because
Yeah.
clearly they're not paying the mortgage on this one and they've moved somewhere.
Yeah.
So we're chasing that market now. And the advice will be to my clients, I'm probably going to suggest, listen, we should just withdraw now. Save ourselves the extra days on market, and we'll wait and we'll put it back up again in January.
SOBPs are back with a vengeance.
Oh, big time.
So that's why I called Q4 the return of SOBP, because I went through the same thing you did, except mine was worse. I got out of province buyers, and exact same situation actually. My clients, they bought a year ago, and they're family. It's family. I've had family come home, which is wonderful. And I remember telling them where they should buy last year.
Yeah,
they did. One of them didn't listen and liked this house in a certain area, so they did it. They bought this house. And then they spent a weekend where I told them they would like to live. My family member literally called me after this week and goes, "Hey, I'm buying a house here. I need to sell this." And I go, "What do you mean?" And he sent me the listing, and he goes, "I'm buying this. I'm buying this today. I'm writing the offer. I want to be where this place is,
right?
Because it's a better area for us." And I said, "Okay, just so you know, you bought it's been a year.
Yeah.
Interest rates are up."
Yeah. They probably bought at the peak-ish.
Bit past, actually.
All right.
Okay, so August 2022 is when they bought.
Right.
So, and I was like, okay, the market's healthy. We can try a new price, but just be warned, we'll adjust quickly because I don't know what's going on with this market as best as I can. And it was also in a dead area. It was in Chester. It's in Chester. So like there's not a lot of comps.
It's not the busiest area in the
and it's
world.
not a lot of comps.
Yeah.
So we did a price. Didn't work. Adjust. Start chasing it because I thought fall will be busy. Wasn't busy. Got an SOBP offer from our province.
Yeah. And
they didn't include a condition of viewing in their purchase agreement, but they left it open to a certain day because they're going to be in the province for viewings.
Okay.
We said remove it, tighten it up, and tighten up your conditions, and we'll go from there. And they agreed. And then they got into SOBP of their property.
Oh,
so two SOBPs.
Ooh.
No, it gets.
So now you're in the chain.
You get no. It gets like by the.
That's rough.
By the peak of it. Okay, my family member has been in his sales background, so he understands the industry. He understands a little bit about it. And this is the first time in my career where I've ever felt like I really got rinsed. Yeah. I really feel like, to this day, I still feel like I got rinsed here. Because what happened was, every time they had to extend a condition of financing, I got the word, now we have another SOBP. By the end of it, there were 4 SOBPs on this chain. And I don't even know if it's true or not. I don't even know if it's real, because what happened was they literally called after 2 weeks being like, "Hey, we're in the province. Can we get in for a viewing?" 20 minutes after the viewing terminated.
Ouch.
20 minutes.
So they clearly didn't like the house.
I don't even know. I don't know how they didn't like the house. On this house, particularly, we did new marketing. We did you might have seen it. Trevor Kennedy did it because that's our photographer. Yeah. We did our first ever 360-degree walkthrough video.
Right.
There was no way. There was no way that they could not know what the house was.
Like. Yeah.
I sent them all the videos. They did a virtual tour. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened, but I'll never forget, we were at my mother's birthday party, and I get the call for termination, and I'm sitting next to my family members because that viewing was that day. And I
stand up from the table. "Can you come with me for a private chat?" That's the way that conversation goes.
God.
You don't just like tap the glass and announce the whole table.
No, and he and I remember my family member just looked at me, and he just goes, "I fucking told you." Because he was like, he caught it. He was like, they're pulling it. They're pulling it to their viewing. And if they don't like the house, he literally called it.
Yeah.
It's the first time ever I was like, I think I got fucked around a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm really like, I don't like 4 SOBPs. 4.
Yeah,
it's excessive. I don't know, but it's like Q4 was the return of SOBP, seller of buyer's property. If everyone needs to know, if you're
4 in line.
4 in line. So like, I don't know, but and I literally just looked and I go, you know what? You're absolutely right. I'm sorry. I should have gotten a non-refundable deposit.
Yeah.
I should have done, there's things I should have done that could have told us that they're motivated to buy this house and not just waiting for an in-person viewing.
Yeah. And that's like, talk about motivation. That's the same thing now when all of a sudden agents are saying, okay, I'm going to give you a $5,000 deposit when we remove all conditions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, we're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're serious, you're basically hedging your bets as a buyer that, okay, I'm not going to give you any money because I know that if I give you money as a security deposit with the offer, like as in 2 or 3 days after the offer,
Yep.
I know that if I'm going to walk away from financing or conditions, that it's then going to take me something like 5 to maybe even 10 days to get that money
Business
back.
days. So not
Business
days. Business days, right?
So-
Monday to Friday, banks.
So I'll be cautious. If I have any feeling that I'm going to walk away from this, well, I'll give you the conditions till the 20th of December, and I'll give you the deposit on the 20th of December.
Yeah.
Because then I can walk away from this and go, well, apart from spending money on inspection, I don't have to try and get my money back.
We got another SOBP, and I absolutely insisted on that one that you give me the deposit up front. I'm not doing that. I even told the agent this. I was like, this is not you. This is not based on anything you've done. I was like, we just got burned, and this is what happened, and this is why I'm insisting on this condition because I need to know you're dead serious, and they are. But of course, SOBP.
Yeah. Yeah.
SOBP. Of
yeah,
course.
We've been lucky. Like, apart from that one, that it's still burning us a little bit. And, we've had to take some pretty major price drops.
Yeah.
They might break even. Now, luckily, their situation, if we get down to what they bought it for 2 years ago, luckily, all their fees are being paid for because it's a military move.
Great. Fantastic.
So I'm like, great. We've still got room that we can come out of this at break even.
My guys are going to take a little hit.
Yeah.
It's just because of real estate commissions, right? But they knew. Yeah. They knew but the good thing is they bought much cheaper.
Right.
So they're gonna rinse it clean.
Yeah.
It's just they're gonna take a hit on the sale.
Yeah.
But not even a hit. We're still like the current conditional sale we have our SOBP clause is still over $20,000 more than what we paid. So like you're still fine.
Yeah, you're still okay.
You're still okay. You're gonna be fine with money. It's just that Q4 has been SOBP, slow price reductions. It's price reductions. If you're not sure about a house, watch.
Yeah. And I think that's the story of Q4 is, okay, no interest rate hikes. Fine. Great.
Done. Yep.
But that means that all of a sudden, and it's not from an inventory point of view that it seems to have swung into a balanced market.
We're not balanced.
We're not balanced.
No.
But the feeling when you're out there is buyers have a lot more say, a lot more choice, and have a lot more power than they did a year ago.
A little more context to this for people at home. We define markets in 3 areas. Buyer's market, balanced market, seller's market. Buyer's market is when you have over 6 months of inventory.
Yeah.
Balanced market is when you have 4 to 6 months of inventory. Seller's market is 4 months and below. We're still at 2.5, 2.6 months of inventory. So we're still in the seller's market.
Defined as a seller's,
but
it just doesn't feel that way.
Well, it doesn't feel like because we were in such a hot sellers, right? You could back then, like if you were a buyer 2 years ago trying to negotiate.
Yeah. No, there was no negotiation.
Don't even, if you find out the house is falling over, walk away.
Yeah.
If you find out, like if you see crappy flooring, crappy windows, don't even ask.
Yeah.
Don't. Now you can walk into a house and you can go, hey, your kitchen's dated.
Yeah.
Your flooring is okay.
Yeah.
I'm not and like if this is gonna be a 20K, 20, 30, 40K renovation. I'm not gonna ask you for 20, 30. Yeah. What I want is 15, 20.
Yes.
Right. I can't take you to the cleaners like I could in a buyer's market, but I can still get something.
Yeah.
Right.
It's that, because everything to do with houses selling is it's got to be fair market value for the condition of the house.
Yes.
So the trick is getting the balance of walking through the house at the very first time you list it going, okay, we all understand that the deck is 20 years old here, don't we?
Yes.
It's likely going to come up in a conversation with an inspector and the buyers that something's got to be done.
And the funny thing is, like, when the peak of the market, right, you could do a pre-inspection and disclose everything up front. And if a buyer tried to negotiate, you could say, literally, this was disclosed. You knew this was disclosed. Don't come back to me on inspection. Yeah. Now you can do a pre-inspection and you can give them a report and you can wait because they're going to do their inspection and they're going to say, hey, you're decked. And you're going to go, yeah, this was disclosed, just so you know.
Yeah.
We'll give you a break though. Like we'll give you 5.
We'll negotiate.
We'll
We'll figure it out.
But you saw this and you were aware of this before you bought and wrote the offers. So we're not going to give you a whole $20,000 for a new deck, but we'll give you. But that's buyers nowadays. They can actually like.
Yeah. There is some level of negotiation after inspection, which probably wasn't there 2 years ago, a year ago.
There was no negotiation. There just was no negotiation.
Yeah. No,
you did not negotiate. You just gave them all of your money.
Yeah.
and
the only condition was, I think I'm going to get my financing. I should be good. Please, God, let the appraisal come in okay.
And the other thing was, and you gave them a letter that pretty much promised them your first unborn child. That was the market.
Exactly.
So now to see it swing back, where you're seeing price reductions and you're seeing negotiations and
longer
even like
days on market.
You're seeing up days on market's up. I think we're at 16 right now.
What did I look at? I think mine said it was about 32.
Oh, you went median.
Yeah, what have I gone? Oh, yeah, so when you look at days on market, I mean, what was it? Back in February 2023 is kind of when it started starting to ramp up. So right now I think we're at 32 days on market.
That's the average. I go by median. I know we both use MLS stats.
Yes.
I know, and you can click either average or you can click median.
Yeah.
So I know the average is at 32. Median for November was 15.
Yeah.
So, and if you're going for February 2022, average days was 5, or median was 5.
Yeah.
5 days. So we're up 300%.
Yeah. Just a tad.
Just to give you an idea
Yeah.
of how, and like it's so funny because like it just feels like it's comatose. Like it feels like it's in a coma because you're like, oh my God, it's taking like for that listing in Chester, my sellers would get a weekly update of everything that's happened in the area and be like, every day's on market's 30. This is the average days on market for your area. Keep in mind, you need to give it 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
We need to, because it's going to take 30 days.
Yeah.
And I kept having to hammer that home, being like, it's going to, like, this is not what it was. This is a whole different thing.
Yeah, we're not done in 5 days or less. Yeah.
We're not sold. We're not even having accepted offer. We have to watch. And I found that was the way I saw Q4 was power to buyers.
Mm-hmm.
For the ones that were in the market, a lot left.
Yes.
A lot were like, these rates are too much because their power is getting, like, their buying power. Every time the rate hike goes up, they're losing what, 10, 12K?
Yeah.
So every time
when it goes up by like 0.25%,
yeah,
somewhere between 10 and 20K of your purchasing price
gone.
So all of a sudden 3 of those and you're like, great, I'm now down to a completely different price.
I'm gone from
what I was looking at as well.
I'm from 4 to 350.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, and the price point of 4 to 350 is a completely different house.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Even things like 5, even like it gets bigger the higher you go. So if you're looking at 6, you're probably down to 515. That's that's a completely different location or a different house in that location.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's when you start to see interest rates really take impact.
Mm-hmm.
And I read a stat because I had to learn about economics thanks to this market. And by learn, I talked to smarter people than me.
Yeah.
And someone told me that it takes 18 months for interest rates to bleed into the market.
Right.
you look at from the first rate hike to September 2023, which is what we're talking about when everything came down, they said it was 18 months. So the exact time from the first rate hike to 18 months later was September 2023. And that's when they said that's when you're going to see the impact of rates in terms of purchasing power on people. That's when people are going to really feel the pinch on their everyday costs, their loans, their expenses, and it's going to show on what they're buying. Yeah. And it was like clockwork. Yeah. It was literally, I remember sitting back waiting for the fall market because I had buyers and I had sellers and I was ready to go, like work hard again for 3 months and then fuck off in December to drink and be merry. Yeah. And just not. I don't think the fall market, I don't think it ever happened. Like, I just think it just got slower.
Yeah. I mean, I think as well, you look at, like, I know that we've started going, hang on a minute. Like, we used to spend X dollars a month on groceries. Like, how did that go up by another, like, $250 when we're buying the same stuff?
Oh, you're up too? Yeah, I'm on.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other major thing this year is
groceries.
Everybody has looked at the cost of living.
Heating.
And gone, hang on a minute.
Gas.
Yeah. It's like you look at some of the costs that you're having to pay now, and you're like, wait a minute. This is not just a mortgage rate increase that we're having to suffer now. It's the cost of living.
Yes.
So I think everybody, especially in Q3 into Q4, has probably gone, oof, we need to back off some of these plans and ideas that we had.
Yeah.
Because this is expensive.
It's expensive to live. It's expensive to do anything. If we want to have any type of life, we need to, especially going into Christmas, because Christmas is, everyone's always under pressure to buy and shop and spend a lot of money. And and going into that market, you could just see, you could feel it in the market where it's like, if you got a, like, I know for my 2 listings, every time I got a viewing, I was like, oh, a human.
Yeah. We might get an offer.
Call the agent and let them know all the details, being like, hey, we're here. Yeah. We can negotiate.
Exactly.
We're happy.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah. Let me know. And then they'd be like, and you're like, come on, man. Like, it was just, it's a whole, and even buying, when you're trying to buy a house now, you like book a viewing, you're like, I can probably knock off 20. Yeah. I could probably find, like, if at the worst 10. Yeah. But I'm not paying that price. I'm not paying what they're asking because I don't have to. Yeah. Because now I know it's just me for 3 weeks.
Exactly.
And I found buyers just left. And a lot of people are, I love how, like, people are like, oh, the market's coming down. No. That's not what this is.
No.
They just took a seat on the bench. Yeah. They're watching.
Absolutely.
They're very observant. Oh, yeah. So, which gets us into, what do you think is going to happen in Q4 and then 2024?
Yes. What are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
Yeah. Well, there's kind of one thing we know is going to happen. Interest rates are not going to go up any higher than they currently are.
You think?
There's absolutely the feeling that rates are going to start coming down because they're going to start looking at recessions and all of these kind of things. And they're like, we need to keep this. Because real estate and everything associated with real estate is over a third of Canada's GDP.
Yes. Yep.
You can't let that industry slow down. It's a third of the GDP.
Yeah, you can't tank the market.
No, we can't be like, let's just jack these rates up and slow this whole thing to a grinding halt.
No, you can't kill the market.
Plus, you look at all the other stuff that's in the pipeline that takes a lot of time to get to the end completion.
Yes.
So we know that, what was it, earlier on this year, was it like springtime, they started announcing all these special development areas and all this kind of stuff to kind of flood the market with about 16,000 more houses. And also announced the waiving of GST and HST on all new construction. On big apartment buildings. Big apartment buildings and stuff for more units, which is a big one. But all of that stuff is like, what's that, like a year to 2 years to build that stuff?
It's 4.
Yeah.
It's 4.
If you're doing single-family houses, it's a lot easier. If you get into the area where they fast-track your development permits, et cetera, et cetera.
The problem is with single-family, though, is it's not, like, you don't get enough density. Like, you're not going to save the housing market by 2,000 new single-family homes that take 2 years to build. Yeah. You're going to save the market by saying, here's 8,000 that takes, we're building them in 5, though. Yeah. Right? We're going to waive the GST, HST, because we're going to make all our money as builders off of the savings of that. Yeah. Yeah. And then we're going to help the housing market by creating stuff because it's supply.
Absolutely.
It's supply. It's always supply. Anyone that says differently, it's supply because there's still not enough supply in Halifax. No. The only reason we're getting supply back is because buyers are taking a seat because interest rates are high. Yeah. When you say,
so what's going to happen when those interest rates?
What do you think happens when they
get a little bit off? You know, like let's drop quarter of a point. Let's see what happens.
All you need, because right now you have all the messaging around real estate is it's a bad time.
Yes.
It's a bad time. It's a bad time.
Yeah.
It's a bad time.
Yeah.
Why is it a bad time? Rates.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as you see it swing, even 0.25.
Yeah.
And that messaging goes from,
yeah, interest rates are coming down.
Yeah. And then you get 1 buyer, 2 buyer, 3 buyer, 4. Yeah. 4 buyer, 8 buyer, 10 buyers, 20.
Yeah.
And suddenly that inventory that you had, and we've gone up a lot. Remember, the peak of the market was like 200 homes in February 2022.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're up 500% at 1,000 now. So that's a lot of significant return on inventory.
Yeah.
But as soon as that interest rate turns, that inventory is gonna be eaten alive, and we're gonna go back into,
because all the buyers will come almost not rushing off the fence. Some people will still be like, I'm gonna play a little bit cautious.
Yeah.
But the people that start early, those are the ones that you're like, okay, because when's the best time to buy a house?
Now.
20 years ago. When's the same thing as planting trees? When's the best next time?
Today.
So then you're going to get into that like, okay, great, because real estate has always been a very good vehicle for generational and creation of wealth.
Yes.
Always has.
Yep.
Because it's relatively steady.
You know what? For that statement, I always just say they can't recreate it.
True.
You just can't you can't recreate the look. You can't recreate the land. You can't recreate the location. Its location. You can't recreate the air that the condo's in.
Exactly.
It's the location. You can't recreate South End, Halifax, Northwest Arm. You can't. You can't. You can want it all you want. Everyone wants to live on beautiful water. You can't recreate it. That is why I always think real estate is because you can build 20,000 new homes.
Yeah.
Where are they gonna be? Because East Hants is different than South End.
Big time. Yeah.
Right.
So that's what's going to happen. Is people are going to be like, okay, great, but I'm either doing one of two things. I'm either in a house with a mortgage, paying down the mortgage, or
renting.
I'm renting.
Yep.
In which case, I'm paying down somebody else's mortgage.
Yep.
So we always talk to when people are like, okay, but when's the right time?
No such thing.
And I'm like, there isn't a right time. It's when are you ready?
No such thing. It's
if you're ready today, we're going to buy a house today.
Yeah.
But what about the mortgage rate?
What does it matter?
It is what it is. Like, we can't control the mortgage rates.
If you buy this house, you're going to be bankrupt, don't buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going to buy a house and be tight, don't buy it.
Yeah.
If you can buy a house within your budget and be comfortable or equivalent what you're paying in rent, okay, just keep in mind, now you have to put a little extra aside for upkeep of the house.
Exactly. Yeah,
and
for fixing stuff.
For property taxes and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it better for you to grow equity or is it better for you to pay down someone else's rent? Now, there's this could be a whole podcast on itself, rent versus owning. So we're not going to dive into this, but I know what you mean. If you're ready to buy and you want to buy a fucking house.
Yeah.
Because the rates will come down. Here's a question. We're going into 2024. I'm going to give a little anecdote that I saw in October, Q4, October 2023. They had Tiff at the House of Commons, Tiff Macklin, the president of the Bank of Canada, who's been in charge of our rate hikes. And he said, this is the first time he said it, he said, we don't necessarily have to reach our inflation target before I start dropping interest rates.
That's a good quote.
And he's never, ever, and everything before then for the last year and a half since he started raising rates has been, we are getting to 2%. We are getting to 2%. We are getting... It was the first time I saw him just throw a little thing of being like, we don't have to be on. We don't. It's like horseshoes. You don't have to be right on the thing. We can be close, and it's still a point. Yeah. And that's when I was like, oh, he's either under pressure because we're coming into an election cycle.
Yes. Yeah.
We're under pressure because
that's an effect,
right? That's a full thing in effect, and BC and Ontario are calling him all the time because their constituents are getting killed by these hikes. Yeah. Right? So
with the mortgages they have.
Oh, the average price points they have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So I saw that comment and was like, okay, we're holding. And then a week later, Bank of Canada holds its lending rate. And I go, okay, maybe we're there.
Yeah.
Which is why going into 2024, you and I were talking about this off air. I say spring. I say late Q1, early Q2, we'll see 0.25 go down.
Yeah. Yeah, sometime in that time, because I don't think they're going to do anything in January.
They're not doing it.
It's a little too close after Christmas.
I don't think they're doing anything in February.
You will need to pump your brakes because you probably went out and overspent in December.
Yeah.
So we don't want you then kind of spending again in January. So you'll need to pump your brakes and kind of like, just chill out.
Yeah.
Then in February, March, it's like, we'll see kind of what they do. But sometime, like you say, in that end of Q1, start of Q2, somewhere in there, the expectation I'm thinking is they're going to go, let's see what happens if we just drop a quarter of a point.
Now, let's be frank here. We're both idiots, so we don't know what they're doing. This is pure speculation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Please do not bet on us coming up with the right
This
forecast.
is us having fun.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, and I'm guessing here, you're probably going to see 1, maybe 2 decreases at the most. If I had to guess long term, this probably comes down to 4, 4.5, 5. Where rates rest. I hope it's 4.5. I just don't. Yeah. We don't need to go in. 4 is fine.
I mean, the thing is, we all know that the rates of 1 point something, 2 point something even were like historically cheap.
No, they
were there for a long time.
They were stupid.
Yeah.
They were stupid.
Yeah.
I hate that. If that market ever comes, if I see rates dip below 3 again, I'm retiring.
There you go.
I'm calling it.
Buy a ton of real estate.
Want nothing. I will focus strictly on joint venture capitalism, and I will join a REIT, and I'll just buy real estate, and I'll be the analyst, and I'll just dog hunt, and I'll just I'll get paid commission by them because I want nothing to do with 2022 ever again.
Yeah.
I hated that market, and it's quite frankly, it's just my price point. I'm 31. All my clients are mostly first-time home buyers and referrals.
Yeah,
and my referrals.
So you were already in the hardest market. I
was in the 450, 500K.
Yeah,
going up 100, 200K for those clients. But it didn't hurt. It just didn't exist.
Yeah, they're like, that's not even an option.
It was like, what's the conversation here? Can we go more? You're at the limit.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then you see it sell 150K more, and you're like, I gave you 100K over, and it's gone for another 150K.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'll retire. I'll call it a career.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of hoping that
never again.
Those days are just
never again,
because it was like 39% in a year price increase, and you're like, that's ridiculous.
I have, you know what? I have the stats. I brought them here. So if you look at May 2020, the median close price in HRM. Guess. Just
when? May 2020?
May 2020, median closed home price in HRM. Median unit, meaning condos and single family together, median closed price. Have a guess.
360.
Say that again for the mic because I didn't catch
360.
359.
Oh, get in.
359.
There you go.
And that's May 2020. If you fast forward to May 2021, have a guess. 1 year later.
May 21. 360. Let's go 475.
478.
See, I'm good at
he
this.
knows his number.
I'm good at this.
So 1 year later, it went up by $109,000.
Yeah.
Like you're never gonna
like 100 and what is it? Another 35, 40%.
35. You're right. 35, 40%, and you're not gonna see that growth again. You're not unless those rates go back down.
I mean, plus if you look at our average sale price now and say, okay, let's go up another 35% in a year, you're like,
I'd vomit.
The Halifax market because we'd be at $750,000 average price point. Yeah. I don't want to be rude to Halifax or Nova Scotia.
Can't afford it.
But we aren't a province.
We can't afford it.
That somebody would look at and say, for all the things that you offer me as a province, I'll pay $750,000 average price.
The Halifax Wanderers are not worth it. I love the Wanderers, but they're not.
But it's not just that, it's everything else.
Yeah.
We know that because of the infrastructure problems we're having, we're blowing hundreds of millions of dollars right now on transportation infrastructures around the 102s, the 103s.
Yes.
Burnside, all of these places they're putting in these connector roads because we've been so slow at looking at growth of population that we're like, oh crap, we need to do this now. Well, let's go and spend 180 something million here and
twinning highways and making things more commutable because the truth is
it's still a mess
because it's always going to be a mess. I mean, no one really knows this, but you know that the McKay's coming up for life expectancy.
Oh yeah, you were saying that a few weeks ago.
It's literally supposed to be closed in 2025. Could you imagine Halifax with one less bridge?
No chance. No. And I think that's the other thing. We've been here for so long that you kind of go, oh my God, this traffic is bedlam. Now, it's not.
No, I know.
It's not even close.
Trust me.
You talk to the people who are talking about the 400 series highways in Ontario and how long they have to commute for the distance. It's not bad at all. But for everybody that's lived here for 15 years or more, you're like, this is nuts.
Try your whole life.
Yeah, true.
Right, because I moved to Wolfville 2 years ago.
Yes.
Right? And coming back now, I grew up on Peninsula Halifax, so I'm as used to traffic. Yeah. The high density traffic we got that was 20 minutes because it's Peninsula Halifax.
Yeah. A lot of traffic lights.
I come back now for viewings and stuff and for meeting clients, but I time everything so I miss morning. I'm always 11 to 3 and I'm out before the afternoon nonsense. I still get stuck in traffic at Burnside trying to exit the city at noon.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, why am I in traffic? It's noon. It's noon in fucking Burnside. How am I stuck? And I sat. Let's be frank here. I sat for 12 minutes. It wasn't like I was. It wasn't like I was long, but I just couldn't drive carefree.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, wait a minute, when am I actually stopped? Because that's something new.
I'm stopped, and that's new. So we're not used to the growth of the city. But
Absolutely.
I want to reel this back into 2024.
Yes.
We've talked about home prices from what they were to what they have been.
Right.
Where do you think we fall in 2024? Are we going up? Are we going down? Are we going to level? And where do we level at?
We're going to level. Like at the moment, we seem to be always bouncing-ish around 600. Now, to me, for the growth that the city's had, for the stuff that the city offers as a lifestyle, I'm like, yeah, 600 on average feels fair.
I think that's high. I think for me, I'm like Halifax should be 5 to 550.
Yeah.
That's where I think we should be as a city, because I like that 360 nonsense from May 2020. That was undervalued.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was undervalued.
Yeah,
100%. And we said that back in 2019.
Yeah,
being like Halifax is a underutilized gem with a lot of growth opportunity. Like there's a lot of,
and that all happened in 2 years.
And it's just and there's like they listened. Which why would you listen?
Yeah, exactly. Why would you listen to us? God's sake.
But like I'm like when you say bouncing around, we can go through the stats because I have them. I'm so happy and proud that I have them. But like we've gone from for this year, January is 541, February is 556, March is 600. April's 577, May is 583, June's 582, July is 579, August 535, September 538, November 529.
Yeah.
So we just seem to be hanging around. When you say we're hanging around 6, we're hanging around between 525 and 575.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in there. I think that levels out to somewhere between. I think we end up around 530. Yeah. 530, 540, 550. If you get that 0.25 decrease and you get, let's say 1 or maybe 2 in 2024, you'll see that bump up a little bit to maybe 550, 560, 570. Yeah. But I think that's where we rest. And of course, I don't know. It's just, it's fun to speculate.
Yeah. And I think for us, we just need to be steady. Like in whatever number it is, we just need to like hover around it and not do anything crazy in terms of growth or recession.
All reduction. I want is just, I don't even want balance, but I just want a market. I actually like where we're at right now. I like the fact that like I can, if a client tells me on the Monday that they want to see a house, I can book a viewing for Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And
it's pretty straightforward.
And I can call the agent. I can say, hey, I'm coming on Saturday. If you have someone else come to your table, let me know if you receive an offer, and I'll adjust my timeline.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
The other thing is SOBPs.
Yes.
I hate that they're back, but that's a personal problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the problem is, as someone who is trying to help your client sell the property, you have an element in that agreement that you have no control.
Nothing you can do.
No.
Yeah, and like.
So the only thing you can do is go, please God, let the agent who I'm working with on the other side be a good agent who knows what they're doing in the area that they're trying to sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all you can hope for.
That's all you can do. Right. That's the only thing that's gonna be the hard. I think that's gonna be the trickiest thing. I think
navigating sale of buyer's property.
I think that's gonna be 2024. Yeah, it's gonna be SOBP. It's gonna be SOBP. I don't think it'll be much investment because you can say 2021, 2022 was really investor driven because you could get good cash flow off of a BRRRR.
Yes,
you could get good cash flow off a buy and hold.
Yeah,
there was a lot of investment strategies that were easily applicable. To HRM, and most of the province. But I think now we're gonna see selling prices. I think you're going to get a lot of agents start higher, and you're going to watch them slowly come down bit by bit. And then you're going to also see SOBPs and a lot of offers. And it's going to be, we love your house in Fall River. I have a house to sell in Hammonds Plains. Yeah. And we're going to list it at this, and you're going to say, well, that is a mortgage of $5,000 a month at today's rates, and they're going to say, yeah, that's where we're starting. And you go, okay.
Let's see. Well, let's see where this goes.
Right? Like, okay, I'm still on the market.
Yeah. So I think from a buyer point of view,
great time.
The power
Great time.
for any kind of a buyer is to be basically not have something to sell. But if you are an owner of a house, get yours up and get it on the market so that at least you could be conditional, and then you write the offer on the house that you want to go, because you should have some time.
I thought of this like 8 minutes ago when I brought up SOBP. I was gonna wait till we're off air and say, do you want to come back to break down SOBPs?
Yeah, it's a big subject.
Because that's a whole subject of SOBPs, right? Because I would love to get into the nuance of SOBPs, but that's not like this.
True.
So if you want to come back, I got you earmarked for another one too.
Okay,
we got 2.
Right. There you go.
We'll come back and break down 2 topics.
Okay, we'll do SOBPs.
We'll do SOBPs another day. But for this market in 2024, first rate decrease is going to come.
Yeah.
It's going to level out.
Yeah.
Which I think is good for buyers, because that means you guys actually have time to find a house, negotiate.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see as much inventory.
For some reason, I can't see a big rush of people going, I want to sell my house this year.
I can't. I think you're going to see a decrease in inventory, so units for sale.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see SOBPs is like my total overall theme of 2024. Yeah. And watch it go down to 2% interest rates and the whole thing go
do exactly the opposite of what we think is going to happen.
And you're going to you're going to stop seeing migration. I think you're going to see a slowdown in migration from Ontario,
it's already
BC.
Happened.
It's already happened, right?
Yeah. Like we always have done a lot of migration from either outside of Canada or within Canada. Yeah. And we have definitely seen a real slowdown in the number of people that are inquiring about, what is it like to live in Nova Scotia? Like we're coming for a house hunting trip, and whilst we're there, can we also like look at the rest of Nova Scotia whilst those people have definitely slowed down in all of 2023. And I would say of all the buyers I do, at least 50 to maybe even 60% of those buyers would not be in Nova Scotia.
Yeah. Oh, here's one last thing before we go, because we talked about this off air before we started. Yeah. How about our businesses? Because we're business owners, we're business operators. Yeah. So in terms of your personal business, you mentioned something. I don't know if you want to share it, but like, how did you find this year?
It was tough. Like, we've done a couple of personal things because we're doing the reno on the triplex and all that kind of stuff. And the banks obviously will lend me a certain amount of money, but it's never the money that you need. No. So we've certainly had to dip into our pockets to start carrying on that renovation because it's going to be worth it. Yeah. But, equally, when you're kind of writing checks or doing e-transfers or whatever for the number of money that we've done, I'm like, that burns this year. And the business overall volume, I would say I'm down. Like if we kind of have a quick look at the numbers,
say it into the mic.
Down. Yeah, I was at like what was that? I'm down about a third. Yeah. In terms of volume of transactions,
I'm down a third too. I'm down about my businesses in terms of total volume of sales. I'm down about 25, 30, maybe 32%, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Feels like a third for definite.
I got lucky. I say lucky. But we got lucky this year because I'm the main breadwinner in my household, and I'm down 30%, which I don't do your sales, so I'm more humble. Yeah, that's the word. That's the word. Right. No, I got lucky in the sense of like we had other things that brought revenue in. Like we did a purchase plus improvements on our house, so I got $40,000 back from that, and that's not taxed because it's based on debt.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. I did have a family member pass away who left me sizable inheritance, so I had other things to offset my lack of business that actually didn't make me realize how lack of business I had until I had to do business plan for 2024 and had to sit down and review my numbers. And I looked at 23 and I was like, oh my god.
Well, why do you think my Q2/Q3/4 was so much better than Q1 and Q2? Because all of a sudden I looked at my numbers and went, hang on a minute.
Yeah, and I've talked to enough agents now that if I've talked to about 8, 9, 10, everyone's down but one.
Right.
And the one that's up, I was talking to him the other day, and he's terrified it's an anomaly.
Right.
He's terrified that he's like, I can't recreate because of where the deals came from. He's literally like, I don't know if I can recreate this type of lead source. I don't know if I can create this type of transaction again. So he's been talking about being like, I have to be smart in 2024 to like make this work. And I go, well, I just have to do more sales because I've never been down before. I've never had a go up. I'm still new. Yes. I say new. I'm like 6 years old in this game. But after 6 years, I've never had a down year.
Yeah.
So having a down year for the first time has been a learning process.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there's also everything about your business. You then have to start really looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
And watching the bank account and watching everything like a hawk, because there isn't the number of dollars coming in that you're used to.
Oh, you'll be proud of me.
So you have to adjust how's my spending habits?
You'll be proud of me. I've never tracked any spending in my entire life. I now track every dollar.
Absolutely.
Every dollar.
Welcome to owning a business.
And I didn't have to do that before, but now everything I'm like, I call you and you're like, where did you spend this? How did you spend that? What was this on? And it's not.
But that's also my feeling this year, just from here, like all of a sudden, when I go to the grocery store now, I'm like, okay, I'm not every day in the grocery store. You know, it's like once every 2 or 3 weeks. And usually it's Jane ringing me up saying, oh, if you're in such and such, can you pick up whatever. And when I go in there, I'm like, that feels expensive.
Yep.
So I think it's not just obviously running the business and monitoring the cost of the business. It's monitoring your own lifestyle spending now as well.
Oh yeah.
So it's a good habit to be into. Is just always look every week. What you spent.
We were doing the math because I've started tracking since July. I started tracking everything.
Yeah.
And I'm running about, if you talk about business and personal, I'm about $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
About 4,
okay.
Which like I've never been that high before.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it got to that high, but I'm that high, and I don't know what I did. I bought a house. I know what I did.
Yeah.
I bought, not only did I buy a house, I bought a renovation. So I know what I did. I know what I did.
That'll work.
But it's a learning thing in this time with rates and inflation, and to learn how to navigate it and try. And we're in a time now for our businesses where we have to learn how to adapt into how we get leads, what our conversions look like.
Yeah.
But that's all.
Stuff.
That's all for another day.
Absolutely.
Richard.
Yes.
Always a pleasure. Thank you again.
I agree.
And we're gonna have you back on very soon because we have podcasts we have to do.
Yeah, exactly. We've got some other ones to work out as well.
All right, then. Thank you. Take care.
Worries. Cheers.
Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. If you'd like to get in touch with Richard Payne, you can reach him at 902-489-1804 or richard@richardpayne.ca. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can reach me at 902-220-7357 or jason@infinityrealestategroup.ca. Thanks again. Bye.